Welcome to another episode of Tom Talks Film. This episode kicks off a two-part series about Warner Brothers and their 1939 film, Confessions of a Nazi Spy. This series of videos explores how Warner Brothers used cinema to shape American public opinion before World War II. In this episode, I will examine one of the film's print advertisements by breaking down its various elements to highlight Warner Brothers' decision to manipulate information surrounding this film. Don't miss the next episode where I dive deeper into this idea with the aid of company materials from the Warner Brothers archives at the University of Southern California. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, marking the start of World War II. Prior to this, global tensions rose as Hitler's ambitions extended beyond the German borders. In the US, isolationism prevailed as the dominant ideology despite Germany's increasing anti-Semitic policies. By late 1941, interventionism grew, fueled partly by the American film industry. Warner Brothers led the charge by creating films that employed appeals to fear and patriotism and attempts to garner support for interventionism. The Warners were a devout Jewish family who immigrated from Poland to the United States in 1883. Harry Warner, company president from 1923 to 1956, was known as the moral conscience of the family business. He believed in cinema's power to influence public opinion and felt a profound duty to oppose Nazi beliefs. As anti-Semitic laws intensified leading to the Holocaust, Harry and his brothers used their position in Hollywood to raise awareness and rally support against Nazi ideology. Warner Brothers was the first major studio to release anti-Nazi propaganda with Confessions of a Nazi Spy on May 6, 1939. The film depicted Nazi activities occurring within the United States. In presenting this information, Warner Brothers hoped to galvanize American moviegoers and educate patriots on combating this perceived threat. Confessions of a Nazi Spy was based on FBI agent Leon G. Turo's investigation of a German espionage ring operating within the United States. This investigation led to numerous convictions, including that of Gunther Rumrich, an American-born Nazi counterintelligence operative. At the same time, German-born American citizens were forming the German-American Bund, a large pro-Nazi social group. Warner Brothers combined these real-world elements to create the film's storyline. Although the movie is a narrative film, Warner Brothers aimed closely to mirror the facts from the FBI's case against Rumrich and the activities of the German-American Bund. Warner Brothers aimed to create a product that closely resembled what we now call a docudrama, blending documentary and narrative filmmaking. However, evidence suggests that Warner Brothers manipulated information about this film to promote it as an educational tool, hoping to shift public opinion. In support of this argument, examining a print advertisement from the film's press book will highlight how some publicity materials were manipulated to promote this film. During this time, film press books provided theaters with information about purchasing promotional materials and publishing guidelines for local print advertising, most commonly in newspapers. I've divided the ad into 7 sections for analysis, numbered from left to right, top to bottom. Section 1 includes 2 key elements: the ad's first reference to a fifth column and its localization to New York City. The term fifth column references General Emilio Mola's comments during the Siege of Madrid in the Spanish Civil War, where he claimed he would take the city with his 4 columns of troops outside and a fifth column of supporters within. Here, the term indicates a group of secret sympathizers engaging in espionage or sabotage activities within defense lines or national borders. Thus, this ad suggests a secret group of Nazi sympathizers were operating in New York City. However, a note outside the ad's borders shows that Warner Brothers instructed local print shops to replace NY with the name of the local city or town, tailoring the ad to inform readers about a fifth column operating within their area. In sections 2 and 3, the ad posed 6 provocative questions to readers, highlighting their lack of critical information. Kidnappings? Dark money? Are your children safe? One question references Der Tag, a German toast before military engagements, implying an impending conflict. These questions were designed to elicit fear and suggest that readers possessed the ability to respond. Section 4 contains the film's title and declares it's being brought back by patriotic demand. This advertisement prominently features the term Nazi spy, which represents the largest element within the ad. While the rest of the ad uses black text on newspaper, this section uses negative space within a large black circle to display the film's full name and the reason for its re-release. The first part of the title is about 1/8 the size of Nazi Spy and only slightly larger than the text referencing patriotic demand. The large size of Nazi Spy was designed to catch the reader's attention before they noticed any other elements. Section 5 aims to elicit fear by making 4 definitive statements about Nazi activities within the United States. There's a second reference to an operational fifth column, along with references to defense secrets being stolen and Americans being kidnapped by Adolf's assassins. Then, as with Section 1, to localize this advertisement, the external note provides alternative text for changing Nazi camps within 50 miles of this theater to Nazi camps within 50 miles of every big city. Section 6 features a note from the management, referring to the local theater's management team and outlined by 37 American flags. The note connects the re-release to a form of patriotic service, making a second reference to patriotism. It also includes a third reference to an operational fifth column and uses terms like fellow travelers and yellow dogs, which underscore the appeal to patriotism. Fellow travelers likely refers to individuals who support a specific ideology without being a formal member of the associated political group, while yellow dogs probably denotes those engaged in foreign military activities within the United States. The note concludes, "Knowledge is strength, so learn now how the yellow dogs can be beaten, now before it's too late." This statement implies that by watching the film, audience members will gain insider information on how to combat the so-called fifth column and Nazi spies. The seventh and final section of this ad, located in the lower right corner, contains the film's credits as required by various labor unions and contracts. These credits include specific font size percentages due to contractual obligations. Edward G. Robinson, the leading actor, received top billing with the largest font size. However, the font size decreases with each subsequent line. For example, Warner Brothers on the 5th line is about 1/20th the size of Nazi Spy in Section 4, and First National Picture has the smallest font in the entire ad, approximately 1/30th the size. As indicated at the bottom of the ad, the print measurement was to be 11.75 inches tall and 3 columns wide, or just under 6.5 inches. When examining the entire advertisement, the Warner Brothers logo is noticeably missing, which was often, but not always, included in other films of this period. To better understand this decision, I compare this ad with one for another Warner Brothers film from 1939, Invisible Stripes. Although the Invisible Stripes ad is slightly smaller by 1/4 inch top to bottom, it does include the Warner Brothers logo, and the name Warner Brothers First National Picture occupies a larger portion of the overall ad space. In the Confessions of a Nazi Spy ad, the Warner Brothers name represents approximately 0.2%. In contrast, in the Invisible Stripes ad, the name and logo take up 0.56%, nearly 3 times more space. But wait a minute, why would Warner Brothers choose to omit their company logo and print their name in nearly the smallest font within the entire ad? In the next episode, I'll dive deeper into this, but it's clear that Warner Brothers actively manipulated publicity material for this film. They relied on appeals to fear and patriotism to draw moviegoers into the theater. While these decisions could be seen as profit-driven, I argue it was a calculated effort to downplay their involvement in the film's creation. Essentially, Warner Brothers wanted their audience to perceive this film as something akin to a documentary, enhancing their goal to shift public opinion towards interventionism. So to recap, with many Americans acutely aware of the FBI's espionage conviction of Rumrich and the activities of organizations like the German-American Bund, Warner Brothers capitalized on the emotions of fear and patriotism with their film. Through examining this advertisement, it's clear the studio crafted publicity material to appeal to these emotions. By referencing an operational fifth column multiple times, Warner Brothers aimed to make Americans believe that Nazi operatives were close to home. They used provocative questions and localized Nazi activity claims to instill fear. But if fear didn't work, their strong appeal to patriotism remains evident. The repeated use of patriotic and the abundance of American flags were designed to tug at the heartstrings of Americans. By placing the duty to respond to these threats on the shoulders of every citizen, Warner Brothers promoted this film as an educational tool for combating Nazi activities within the United States. Warner Brothers could have easily made an anti-Nazi propaganda film focused on the Nazi government and military operations in Germany. However, a distant ideological conflict wouldn't have been enough to shift American public opinion away from isolationism. By depicting German military and Bund operations within the United States, Warner Brothers advertisements, like the one examined here, brought these threats to every American neighborhood, coast to coast. Thank you for watching this episode of Tom Talks Film. If you're interested in learning more about Confessions of a Nazi Spy, don't miss my next episode where I take a deeper dive into how Warner Brothers manipulated information around this movie to influence American opinion towards interventionism. My references for this video are listed here and in the video description below. Until next time, get out there and make something interesting.